Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the One Fear Per Year podcast. I am here with an incredible, and when I say incredible, I mean incredible guest, Michael Bryant. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
So, just to give everybody a little insight into how I knew about you, is your daughter, Rachel, is a keynote speaker, and she and I are connected on LinkedIn. And occasionally I'll go through and see what people post on there. And she posted a video of you running your seventh Ironman at the age of 74. And this video, I'm going to have to post it for everybody to see because it is truly so remarkable and so moving because you had 17 hours to complete this race and you came in at 16 hours and 59 minutes and 15 seconds. And I cried. Every time I watched it, I just cry because you are so amazing and did not quit, did not give up. Tell everybody what was going through your mind during that particular race, because I know you've done many.
Well, that's a really good question because what had happened was there's a little precursor to that. In 2022, so what had happened was I started in 2006, did my first Ironman at 56. And every other year, 2006, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16, I did a race. And in 2016, I said, okay, in 2020, I'm going to be 70. So I'll be the baby in my age group because I'll be in the 70 to 74 age groups. I'll be the baby. And I can probably make some noise in that. So COVID hits in 2020. 2021, I had elbow injuries, so that was out. And then 2022, I was ready to race. And in 2022, I had a really serious mechanical problem on my bike, and it set me back. And so I had to kind of go at kind of a kamikaze pace on the bike to beat the cut because there's cutoffs in each of these disciplines. And so I did what's called bonking. I basically just ran out of gas in the run, and so I wasn't able to finish. I had never not finished a race at any level, at any distance in my life, and that was completely intolerable. There was just no way in the world that, I said to a couple of my friends, I think I'm done. And they said, I don't think so. That's not going to happen. So 2024 is like, okay, this is it. This is redemption. And so I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but this had become a quest. A quest is different from a goal. A quest gets obsessive. It's like I'm doing this thing. And training at 74 is not like training at 56. It's not. It's a different bird. But I was possessed, and I was going to do this thing. Swim was fine. Had a really good plan for the bike. Didn't have any mechanical problems. I got off the bike, and in the first half of the marathon, I was fine. And then all of a sudden, my back started locking up. I have no idea where that came from. And so, what should have taken probably maybe 2.5 more hours ended up taking 4. And so, you're just in the moment, is what you're trying to do. You're just trying to, I had had a situation in 2008 where it had rained. It's called the 100, they named that race the 140-mile swim. It was 5.5 inches of rain in 13 hours. It was the most miserable day of my life. And I can remember going out for the second loop of the run, and I said to my wife, I don't know if I'm going to finish, but I'm not going to quit. And so that it never really occurred to me that I was going to quit. I really didn't expect, by the way, to make the 17-hour cut. I didn't care. If I had to be out there at 1 o'clock in the morning, I was finishing the race. That was what I was going to do. I was going to finish the race. Is it great to cross the finish line? Oh yeah, it's fantastic. But I have a lot of hats, shirts, medals. I have a lot of those, so we're good. But I was going to finish what I started. That was what was most important. The race long ago for me became not about the race. The race is a pass fail event that takes place in one day. You either do or you don't. It's not an indication to me of anything that you are or you aren't. I mean, if you finish it, it's wonderful. But it's such a small group on the planet that even get any of this that to the rest of the world, you know. If I've been asked once, I've been asked 10 times, did you do that marathon thing? Yeah, that's what they are. Yeah, I've been a marathon thing. How's that marathon thing go? It went fine, that marathon thing. So to me, a long time ago, it became, what did I learn about myself? And in my other life, I'm a management consultant and a coach. And so I refer to myself as an unstucker. So I get people unstuck. And people come to me because they need to stretch. There's some part of their life that they're they're not accomplishing what they want to accomplish. And so my job is to teach them to stretch. And so I figured, to stay honest, a long time ago, that I need to do something at least once a year that had two criteria. One, it would be really exciting, and the other one would be, it would scare me out of my mind. And so that's how Ironman occurred in the first place. I thought, well, that's terrifying. That's just ridiculous. We'll just basically, let's see what happens with that. You know, I've walked across hot coal. I did that one year. I repaired a relationship. That was scary. You know, to repair a relationship, that's really, that was much scarier than the other two were, you know. And so, and so I think what happens is that, sort of as we age, just developmentally, we become risk averse. And, you know, our kind of our comfort zone begins to shrink. And so the deal seems to be, as best as I can understand it, no risk, no growth. That seems to be what I see it as. So these things a long time ago became part of that. So while the race is the race,
I just feel like that's why you are such a perfect guest because of the one fear per year
yes,
concept. I mean, you're basically doing that.
yes,
And so for people that you coach
hmm
and they come to you and they say, I'm stuck in fear, self-doubt, all of those things. What what are some of the things that you do or say or tell them to do to get unstuck and to kind of move the needle?
So the first thing I do is I ask him this question: if it was just right, what would it look like? If it was just right. I mean, Santa leaves everything under the tree. I mean, you're not just getting the pony, you're getting the saddle and the ranch. I mean, if you get it all, what would that look like if it was just right? I also take them through a process that I call the 5-year letter. And this is a goal setting exercise that tricks their brain. And this is how this works. So you write a letter to whoever you write it to. And I just give them the first line. The first line of the letter is, these have been the happiest 5 years of my life. The trick is, the letter would be written, if it was written today, it would be written in September. Is this the 4th? I think September 4th, September 3rd, whatever today is, September 3rd, 2030. So it's already happened. Because what happens is, when people are trying to move past an obstacle where they're stuck and they're looking at the steps they need to make, they tend to do what I call infect the process. And they infect it with what I call the death words: practical, realistic, doable, feasible, possible, workable. Those are all made up words. They're all made up words. And how do we know that? We know that for sure, because something that's totally impractical for one person was practical for somebody else. So it's not impractical because somebody just did it. What the 5-year letter does is that, since you already did it, you don't have to figure out how, because it already took place. So the way it seems to work is that reasons come first and ways come second. So I'm going to finish that race. We'll figure it out when we get there. I'm not coming off that unless they pull me off. I mean, if they pull me off, that's going to, but I'm not doing it. I'm not pulling me off, you know. So it's really that kind of focus. Where I find people get most stuck, though, most of the time, is they'll focus on an event and they'll lose sight of the process. So an event may be, um, so I talked to my boss about wanting more responsibility and more fair compensation, and that didn't work. So I'm not doing this. I'm like, well, that was an event. That's not the process of change, of valuing yourself. you know. So I said to myself that I was going to get in shape, and I'm really sore. I know that's just an event. That's not the process, you know. So it's really getting people to get up at 30,000 feet and not just get to the point where they can't see the forest for the trees. So almost without fail, what I find is when somebody comes to me and they're stuck, they're talking to me about an event and they've lost sight, like, well, what is the point of all of this? Like, what's the why? Because a compelling why is a driver. What that does is it plows you through it. And, the sort of the example I use a lot of time is, and for people who have children, I'll say, okay, when you go to the hospital and the first baby's born, what they do is they give you a little tiny human and they say, take this human home and don't kill it. I mean, that's what they do. You have no idea how to take care of a baby, and this is they're complex little things. Have no idea how to take care of a baby, but you are crystal clear as to why you need to take care of the baby. So with no training and no idea, you figure it out because the why is so compelling. So that to me is when somebody's talking to me, I'm like, well, how much does this really matter? Is this your goal? Is this what somebody thinks you ought to do? Is what somebody has defined for you as what you need to be? Because that's not going to work. We're not real good at setting other people's goals for us. You know, it's almost like people without meaning to come to us and they kind of say, having perfected my life, I thought I'd work on yours. So I have a little self-improvement plan here that I've designed for you, and I'll be happy to monitor it with you to infinity, even though you never asked me to, and so, and I've met very few adults who they aren't convinced that areas where they don't have a lot of expertise, they're experts in, and social media has made it even more fun. I can go get a degree, or I can just go on YouTube for 10 minutes because it's kind of the same thing. I mean, we're all experts. And is YouTube helpful? Yeah, I was like, I had a problem with my printer this morning and figured it out on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube's great, but not for life advice, not for that. So I think it's really important for people to say, so what do I want? What do I want my life to look like? What is it, what is that when the story's told, that the famous thing about the dash on a tombstone, your whole life is the dash. What
Yep.
do I want the dash to, what do I want that to look like? What is important to me? What do I really value? And if I turn down my mouth, because we can say anything, and I watch my behavior, that tells me what I value. That tells me what I value.
Absolutely. The actions speak louder than words, 1,000%. Now, I want to hear some of the things that you've done because I know you said walking on coals, which
Mhm.
actually that's on my list. Haven't done that one yet, so that's amazing. What are some of the other things you've done, and what is something in the future that you think that you might do maybe next year?
Oh, that's a good question. So let me start with the future for a second. So what I've just so it was a really interesting process for me about whether or not Ironman had really begun to define me in a lot of ways. It wasn't what I did. It was a large part of who I am. And that can be both very compelling, but it can also be a little bit scary. That's kind of like, so I need to be more than that. So this was the first race this year because when I don't race, I'm a volunteer and I just love being out there supporting these people. I just it's one of the most, I get almost excited as I do it. And one of my good friends was racing, so that was so much fun to see him on the course and call his wife, and we know where he is, and then we also get what we call saves. That's an athlete that's going to quit, and then we get them back in the race, and then we adopt them forever. I mean, it's the coolest thing. I mean, it was, one of the neat things that happened on the LinkedIn was that Sarah, who my daughter and I saved from quitting, right, in 2013, she's married now. She has three little kids. It's like the coolest thing in the whole world. I mean, it's so neat to do that kind of thing. So I had this was the first year as I saw them on the course, I didn't have 1 ounce of, man, I want to be out there because this ending is, I'm not messing with this ending. There'll never be another ending like this. I'm leaving this alone. This is this book is ended with that chapter. I'm not touching that. And so, but there are what's called half Ironman races. And in half Ironman races, because I'm now in the 75 to 79 age group, And when you get to this level, we have kind of a new motto, which is if I can't outrun you, I'll outlive you. So that's all we have to do now. I just have to, you know, how they say 80% of life is showing up. Well, at my age, it's almost 100% showing up. So if everything goes well next year, I should qualify for the world championship. So that would just be stupid, crazy. Yeah, that's otherworldly. That's it. And it'll be in France. And the way they race in France is they don't really have like descents with like guardrails and stuff. I mean, you can fly right off these mountains. I'm like, well, that's kind of terrifying. So I'm like, well, like, I was going to do it this year. I got injured before the race, but athletes get injured, and so that's just part of the deal. So, I did shorter races this year and had a really fun season, and so I recalibrated that. So that is that was the one that's the one moving forward that I think should that's rather it's daunting. It's daunting, but that will involve stretching. And so that was one. Well, what's another one? So I've been married for 45 years. So, when you've been married for 45 years, there are things.
Just little,
We live with another human being. And so working on that and seeing how good can we make our relationship, and we're both all in. And so that's been one that's been really kind of neat to do. A lot of them at this point because um in terms of the physical stuff I do, well, I train all the time. I mean, I'm constantly, when we get done, I'm gonna go ride my bike because that's what I do. And my wife and my wife does shorter distances, but she's ridiculous. I'm insane. So, together we're normal in our heads.
you're a perfect match.
We're a
Perfect.
perfect match in so many ways. Yeah. So, so I'm always training. So I'm always fit, because I just stay fit. And I'm not fit for 75. I'm just fit. And I'm just like, I'm not in shape for my age. I'm just in shape, and it's the most important thing I find at this point in my life is my health. Because without that, nothing, is not right. And there's a whole research now done on not lifespan, but health span, and you can stay. I'm intrigued. I'm fascinated by how healthy you can be as you age. I mean, very, very, very high level of fitness. And it's just, I'm almost like my own guinea pig. I'm always like I'm kind of looking at this and kind of watching how this will work, but it's fascinating.
It is. And I think that's so great to be focused on health and not just the physical, but the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, the with relationships, like you were
Yeah.
saying. Now, last question, because this has flown by. I mean, actually, we could sit and talk for hours and hours, I'm sure. But I asked this question of everybody, and there's no right or wrong answer. It's all very individual. What for you would be an opposite word of fear? Like if you were just to take one word that is in your mind the opposite of fear, what would that word be?
I would say that word would be outrageous. Outrageous. Just outrageous. Just go do something that's just outrageous.
Hey, I love that. So because fear keeps us stuck and imprisoned and not doing the outrageous, adventurous, exciting things. And when you open that prison door and run free, yeah,
And
it's outrageous.
it's almost always about the perceived future. Almost always. Fear is a story we make up in our head, you know, because we're so telepathic, we can read minds and predict the future, and we're just so gifted that way.
So exactly. So why not use our imagination and our mindset
Yes.
in a way that is productive, that is loving toward ourselves, that is kind of that mentality that you have, I finish what I start,
Mhm.
or kind of fall down trying. And then if I can't exactly finish that because of an injury or whatever, you know what? There's always next year. But it really is a mindset kind
Yeah.
of um,
All you have to do is have your feet hit the ground, and you get a do-over every day. All you gotta do is make contact with the ground, and you get another shot. I mean, it's like, that's why they put erasers on pencils, because you did another turn. It's like,
I love that. That's right. Every day is a new beginning.
yes,
So thank you so much, Michael,
thank
for
you.
joining me.
Thank you so much
And
for hearing me.
yes, you are incredible. Everybody listening, use that pencil. Draw something. If it doesn't come out perfect, because many times it doesn't, use that eraser, like Michael said, and then just keep getting up, showing up, being the best version of yourself wherever you're at in life. And everybody, make it an amazing day.
Amen.